What do I think is the best Kanye album? Let's find out. Welcome back to another episode of Bare Bones with Ben. I am your host, Ben Holcman, and today I just realized that this might be a little bit weird if you're not watching this like online. However, I will try and like online, like on YouTube. However, I will try and show this in a different way so that it helps out the people that are listening on Apple and Spotify. But welcome back to another episode of Bare Bones with Ben. I am your host, Ben Holcman, and today we are going to be doing a tier list of Kanye West albums. Now, I'm going to go share my screen really quickly. Then shared. It is now sharing, and hopefully it's going to come out on the video. If not, then I might sound like an idiot. But we are going to do a Kanye West albums tier list. Now, if you don't know, if you can't see, there's no Yeezus is King, and that's on purpose. Not only am I too lazy to find one that has it, I would even just put it in D. I am such a huge, I don't even like that album. I'm not a big guy for religion in my raps. not even that. I love Dams, or like not even that, but like I just feel like it's, I don't know, that album is just something else. But we have this tier list all set up, so let's go in order of dates. So when it first came out, and we're going to start off with one of the best albums, in my opinion, of all time, The College Dropout. Now, of course, if you would have heard my My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy versus To Pimp a Butterfly discussion, I said The College Dropout is a better album than My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. So you know what that means. That's already going in S tier. I genuinely have listened to that album more than many other albums. I think it's insane. However, I can understand why other people wouldn't like it. It's not even it's out of date, but even then, like I don't think there's one skip on that album. Genuinely, I don't think the skits are a little corny, but whatever. I think their albums, or it is one of the best albums of all time. But let's go straight into the second one. That's why I don't think there's any room for debate in that one. That's why I'm just saying, like, I don't really see that as one that is such a debate. Like that has to be an S tier in my opinion. But let's go to the next one, which is Late Registration. Late Registration to me has a lot of high highs, and I really love it, and that's why I hate putting it as low as I am going to. But Late Registration, that was my speaker. Sorry. Late Registration for me is going to go into A tier. There are some songs that you can skip on there that are just a little bit of a dud, even though I do believe that the skits on there are way funnier than the ones on, not even way funnier, but they are funnier than the ones on College Dropout. I think that College Dropout is just the better album. Again, I don't think anyone's going to fight me on that one. I think it's just an unbelievable, they're both really great projects, but I just think, College Dropout has one of the greatest, is one of the greatest albums of all time. So yeah, that's why I put Late Registration kind of lower in the A tier. I love Late Registration as an album. I think it's great. However, is it there? I think it's on the precipice in my opinion. But let's go straight into the next one, which is Graduation. And this might be a little bit of a controversial pick, but I'm gonna put Graduation in B tier. I think a lot of these songs there are kind of going into the bling era. And yes, it has a lot of high highs, but also has a lot of low lows. It really, truly does. For every Can't Tell Me Nothing, for every Flashing Lights, there's Barry Bonds. There are just so many songs that aren't really up to par when you look at Kanye's discography. And remember, I'm ranking this in like Kanye's discography, not of all time, because realistically, we're going to get to like Cruel Summer, and it's not going to really be it's going to be in D tier. Because Cruel Summer, while it has a lot of great songs, well, all right, how about that? Let's just get to that when we get to it. But of course, after Graduation, we had 808s and Heartbreak. And you know what? If you would have asked me over the summer, I probably would have put it in B tier. But personally, for me, I'm gonna have to put this in A tier. I think 808s and Heartbreak has genuinely become one of my more favorite albums of Kanye's discography. I think it is genuinely, it's heartfelt. Yes, it's a little clunky, and yes, it's a little weird. And by the way, you see how it's behind Late Registration? That's how I'm going to rank it. So with A tier, it's like Late Registration first, then this. But that's how I feel right now. I think it's a little clunky. Yes, it's a little weird. But however, It was very influential for, and yes, it was panned at its time, but it was like now you look at all the rappers that now talk about their feelings. I mean, it basically influenced Drake, because let's be honest, it really did influence Drake. But yeah, that's my next pick, and then I believe after that we have, of course, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Now, if you don't know my opinion on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, you should go and check out my video on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy versus To Pimp a Butterfly. It's one of my favorite videos I made because I put a lot of work into that one, and I regularly listen to both these albums. But My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, for me, is one of Kanye's greatest albums. So I'm kind of have to put it here. Of course, I'm gonna put College Dropout before it because I enjoy College Dropout a lot more than I do My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. But that's just because College Dropout for me is almost untouchable. So yeah, I love My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, but I feel like, again, with its very high highs, and it has a lot of high highs, it doesn't have that many and it doesn't have that many lows. It still has some lows, and I feel like those lows definitely contrast with what's on the College Dropout, which are a lot of high highs and almost no lows. In my opinion, I don't think he misses once on the College Dropout, because I just think that is the greatest. Like, I genuinely like. That's why I said Through the Wire is my favorite Kanye West song. Kanye West, that sounds so weird, but is my favorite Kanye song because it's just the story around it. The bars on it are a lot better than some of the bars on like a Yay. We all came from, you know that line when I'm going to say we all came from on, I believe, All Mine. But yeah, like a lot of the bars on that song, a lot of the bars on that album is just better than a lot of the other stuff. And yes, you can argue that My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is better than College Dropout because of the situation that Kanye was in, and just the amount of work that he put into the album. I agree that album is unbelievably good. I just think that it has to be perfect to beat a College Dropout. Like, To Pimp a Butterfly just beats College Dropout, and To Pimp a Butterfly is my favorite album of all time. Like, it just beats College Dropout because College Dropout is so perfect, in my opinion. Like, it just really, truly is unbelievably, incredibly perfect. So to go against College Dropout, you have to be perfect. And Blame Game, the ending to Blame Game, let's be honest, it is very cringy in my opinion. I know it's supposed to be funny, but after the first couple times, it's repetitive. So Appalled, while it has some good verses, it's just also very, like, do you really need it there? Monster goes back and forth in my head. What's that other song that I really... Oh, yeah, I'm going to alienate a lot of people. Lost in the World. Best Kanye production on a track, in my opinion. Genuinely, in my opinion, worst lyrics ever. It almost takes me out of the song. You're my heaven, you're my angel, you're my heaven, you're na na, you're my now, you're my forever. I get it. The sentiment was to Kim Kardashian, who apparently they are breaking up, so it doesn't really even matter at this point. But I get it. Look, I get it. Some people want to watch the world burn, and I am one of those people. But in my opinion, it isn't as good as everyone says, and that's just me. But we move. We go into the next album, which I believe it's either... I'm going to check this up real quickly. I should have looked this up before. However, I am very all over the place right now. So Watch the Throne came out in 2011, and sorry, I apologize. I didn't think about this. Cruel Summer also came out in 2011. Came out in 2012. So let's go with Watch the Throne. Of course, Watch the Throne has one of Kanye's greatest songs about the fellas in Paris. Of course, I'm not going to say who were in Paris. Have you seen my skin complexion? But I'd have to put this rank. It also has Otis. It also has it's low, but I'm gonna put it in low B territory. I like it. I like the album as a whole. I think the hype around it kind of not killed everything about it, but the hype around it definitely engulfed how good of an album it was. It was a good album. It's just way too much, in my opinion. But I could be wrong, which I usually am. So let's not get that mixed up. So I put it just below Graduation. I don't see Graduation as that good of an album. I know a lot of people are going to really, really go after me, but in my opinion, there's just a lot of high highs in Graduation, but a lot of low lows on the Graduation. I mean, Barry Bonds. I know I keep going to that one, but that song sucks. Like like Lil Wayne doesn't even offer any sort of hope to that. I mean, it's genuinely terrible. But yeah, let's go on to the next one, which is Cruel Summer. Cruel Summer is, again, and I'm going to be very, very, very nice here to Mr. West. I'm going to put in C. I'm just kidding. I'm putting it low B. I wanted to see if anyone would care. But Cruel Summer to me is just, it's a compilation album. It really shouldn't count as much. I mean, it doesn't really matter in anyone. Yeah, it has a bunch of good songs on there, but I don't know. I feel like there are just so many other good songs, or other good albums on there that you can't really rank. You can't really put Cruel Summer above like almost anyone on this list, in my opinion. So let's go on to the next album, which I believe would be Yeezus. Now, this is going to divide opinion, and I haven't even figured this one out yet. I'm genuinely doing all this on the fly. Well, I mean, I could figure out which one I would put for here and here. Low A. It was going to be above Graduation. Actually, it's going to be a high B, which I think I might. I feel like if you would have asked me when this came out, I wouldn't have liked it. But now I'm starting to listen to it again. It aged really well. So I'm gonna put it in low A. I think it's a great. I think it's a pretty good album as it aged. The bars on there. I mean, I keep it 300 like the Romans. And I know I quote Fantano here, but the fact that album definitely went through hundreds of hands, and no one had the gall to turn around and say, "Hey, it's the Spartans," and I mean, it's just, I mean, Bound 2 is kind of funny, so I'll let that go. But it's just a very, the sync line. Sorry, but it's just a very it's a very varied album. However, its highs, I think, kind of get it over an album like Graduation, which, okay, now looking back on it, Graduation is a good album. However, I'm going to stick with it. So the next one would be The Life of Pablo, and this one is going to hurt me because I really, well and truly don't know. Because if you don't know my stance on Life of Pablo, I say it's a top 5 Kanye album. I think its production on there is almost unmatched by any other Kanye album. I think its lyrics are great. I think its features are unbelievable. No More Parties in LA is a top 10 Kanye song. Don't even at me on that one. It is so unbelievably good. The fact that Kanye West just out-raps one of the greatest rappers of all time is unbelievable. So let's just go. Do I put it in S tier? No, I'm not. No. S tier has to be almost no skips. So I'm going to put it in A tier above a Late Registration. I love Late Registration. Don't get me wrong. However, nah, you know what? Nah, I got to put this in S tier. I got to put it behind Late Registration. Oh, okay. Can they be tied? Can we just say they're tied? Can we just say they're tied? Because that's really difficult. But Life of Pablo, I mean, I think no one will argue it's one of his better albums of the past. His better albums of the past 5 years. I think it generally is a great album. It's one of my favorite albums to turn back to. That's why it hurts to put this like so far down. And the fact of like it's in A tier, but it's a second in A tier. It's not even that it's bad. There's just so much good stuff with this. You know what I mean? There's just so much good stuff in his music. But there are some bad stuff in there, so I'll put it in A tier. And then the next one, I believe, is Kitsy Ghosts. Now I'm just gonna put this right there. All right, let's move on. No, I'm kidding. I'll argue it. I'll argue this because I think a lot of people are going to be pissed off that I put it in front of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. So I just reminded myself that I just remembered that I should probably go over what's going on in the tier list. So we have S, A, B, C, D. It's a normal tier list. And at B, so in the last place we have Cruel Summer. I don't think anyone will argue with that. Then we have Watch the Throne. Again, I think the hype really engulfed how good of an album that was. And then we have Graduation. So Graduation is the best in the B tier. And I already gave you my argument for that. So in A tier, in fourth, we have Yeezus. And then in third, we have 808s. In second, we have Life of Pablo. In first, we have Late Registration. And then S tier, we have at third, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Second, Kids See Ghosts. And first, College Dropout. Of course, we still have Ye left, and Ye is actually one of my... I favor that album over a lot of stuff that Kanye's put out, but I still think, his album or his albums are just so strong. But let's go back to that argument. I will have that argument. I genuinely do think on Kids See Ghosts, there is not 1 second you could skip. And I think it comes close to taking College Dropout. However, I think its brevity does help it for the most part, but it feels such like a lot. I don't know. To me, it feels like an album that has genuinely grown to be something that we want to see a second part to. That we want to see a second Kids See Ghosts album. We want to see another collab from Kanye West and Kid Cudi. I mean, we always want to see those collabs because Kid Cudi and Kanye West are one of the greatest collabs we've seen in the 2010s, in my opinion, of course, or at least in the 2000s, I'd say, because 808s featured a lot of Kid Cudi. But I don't think there's a feature on here that is bad in any sort of stretch of the imagination. I think Pusha T's first. In my opinion, Pusha T is a top 20 rapper of all time. Daytona is one of the better albums of the 2010s. But let's go back to this. For only an album that just misses 24 minutes, it is so dense and is so amazing. And I feel like its impact and its reach will be felt for a while. I feel like Kids See Ghosts will be an album that will be talked about in a lot of people's greatest of 2010s and greatest of this and greatest of that. And My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy will be up there as well, but I feel like Kids See Ghosts does not have a minute of those 23 minutes, or does not even have a second of those 23 minutes that you could skip, in my opinion. And with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, as much as I do love that album, I still think that there are some parts of it that you can kind of say, well, I don't really have to listen to that. I don't have to really go through that. And I don't really have to go through that. But then again, I could be wrong. Or you could disagree with me. Totally fine. I totally understand. But I genuinely do think that Kids See Ghosts is a better album. I feel like its brevity helps it a lot. And I feel like its speed helps a lot. I feel like it's just such a great album. Like I feel like overall it is such a great album, and to me it comes down to what has had an impact on me more as a person. And yeah, of course this is never going to be like such a huge thing because this is just what has impacted you as a person the most. And as someone who is still in high school, The College Dropout is such a great album to me. I don't really resonate with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy as much as other people do, because it is an album about a guy who in his eyes, have faced so much mass scrutiny, so much hatred towards everyone. And realistically, he had at the time, and of course, Taylor Swift, but he was such, I think he sort of imagined a lot of it more than he really got, in my opinion. And that doesn't make the album bad. I just feel like the lore behind that album now kind of goes away. But that's my explanation. I think Kids See Ghosts is a better album. I feel like it resonates with people more rather than My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Its production is out there. It's so left field. It is so left field yet so amazing that I feel like everyone can be like, wow, I didn't expect to like that, and I loved it. And I don't think anyone really hated it. I don't really think anyone really hated the album. And it grew on me massively. I wasn't that big of a fan of it, and then I think the second time I listened to it, I was like, this is incredible. With My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, it had a lot of those songs had to take five, six different listens for me to even like it, because I was in such, okay, so appalled. And I know I keep going back to this. In my Kanye West bracket, I said it had to take 5-6 listens to get to it. Everything took like a listen or two to get to with Kids See Ghosts. Runaway resonated with me immediately. Okay, I was going to make that case. Lost in the World, Blame Game, Monster. Like those songs had to take a while for me to be like, all right, nah, these are sick. But with Kids See Ghosts, it almost immediately, and that's what I'm saying. Like College Dropout, immediately everything resonated with me. Late Registration, immediately almost everything resonated with me. I just think that there are some stuff that isn't as good as the ones on the three albums on the S tier. Life of Pablo, almost everything resonated with me. Again, I don't think everything is. With My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, it took a while, and I feel like that's my justification for ranking it as low as a lot of people wouldn't rank it as low as I have. But let's go into the final album that we have. If you can see, it's Yay, which I think actually that photo might be one of the greatest photos I think I've seen of like mountains. I'm not a big mountain photo connoisseur, by the way, but in my opinion, I believe Yay goes right here. Sure, it doesn't have the hits like these two have of Cruel Summer and Watch the Throne have. Of course, it doesn't have The Fellas in Paris and No Church in the Wild. It does have Ghost Town. It does have Violent Crimes. It does have All Mine, which is one of my favorite Kanye songs for some reason. I hate that song with a burning passion, yet I just can't get it out of my head every time I think of it. You're supermodel thick. Oh, damn, I shouldn't even have said that because now that's going to be stuck in my head for the entire rest of the recording, which is going to be 2 recordings tonight. So, but yeah, I think and sure, it doesn't have New God Flow in Cruel Summer, and it doesn't have Mercy's in Cruel Summer, right? Yeah, Mercy and Don't Like, I believe, is also in Cruel Summer. Yeah, so while it doesn't have a lot of the stuff that would have usually been considered to be the reason why a lot of those albums do hit, its brevity helps it. I Thought About Killing You is a very passionate song. Its message doesn't resonate, of course, as much, but it does help. It does help. I feel like its track listing is pretty good and solid, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what I say because you'll have your own opinion. So why are you even listening to this? Because you're trying to listen to my opinion. That's why. I'm pretty tired, by the way. It has been a long Valentine's Day. It has really, well, truly been a long Valentine's Day. But, yeah, I'm recording this on Valentine's Day, and it's going up the next day. That's called dedication. But, yeah, just to round it off, on the B tier, we have 4 albums. Cruel Summer coming in 4th, Watch the Throne in 3rd, Yay in 2nd, and Graduation in 1st, and the A tier. By the way, B tier is good. Like, B tier is like, the reason why it's middle, that's mid, it's good. Like, B is a passing grade, right? And A tier in 4th, we have Yeezus. And I'm not gonna lie, Yeezus and Graduation could switch places, and I wouldn't be that upset about it, I would say. But yeah, and at 4th we have Yeezus. At 3 we have 808s and Heartbreak. At 2 we have The Life of Pablo, and at 1 we have Late Registration. And in the S tier, at 3 we have My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. At 2 we have Kids See Ghosts, and at 1 we have one of my favorite albums of all time, The College Dropout. Now, I stopped to share. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry. If you agree with any of my rankings, let me know in the comments below. If you disagree with any of my rankings, let me know. Let me know how you would rank them, because I am genuinely going to be very interested to hear what y'all think. Make sure to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, and make sure to stay safe out there. It is a very weird world, and I hope everyone is okay. So I want to thank y'all for watching or tuning in, and peace.